Should au pairs have a curfew? Some host families prefer giving their au pair a schedule because they want their au pair to be home at a certain time, to be well rested, to perform their duties the next day. So those host families actually feel comfortable giving an au pair a curfew. Now, other host families prefer not to impose and prefer that the au pair set their own curfew, come home when they do come home. However, they still want like the au pair to be able to perform their duties the next day. Now, if you are a host family that does decide to give your au pair a curfew, there's things you need to understand. You need to make clear communication of like what's your expectations. Make sure both parties understand why you're setting like a whole curfew for this au pair, and you need to understand and take into consideration that they still have a work schedule and they have a social life. So you can't come in with strict curfew rules where the au pair is unable to have a social life or just feel like they're being held hostage. So I would say take into consideration that if you are gonna give a schedule, I think it's highly important to create an atmosphere or an environment where the au pair feels trusted and doesn't feel like they're being treated like a kid, because at the end of the day, an au pair is an adult. And so sometimes, or most of the time, when curfews are in place but there's no understanding as to why, or no expectations as to why, there can be miscommunication or resentment or just like frustration, especially if there's like a curfew in place and the curfew's been hovered, meaning like the host family is not flexible. Let's say one random night or the au pair happens to be invited to like a dinner party, and let's say all our other friends are not au pairs, and because of that she gets home midnight. I'm not talking about every night, I'm talking about a random night. You can't be like, you got home midnight, you got, like, I think you need to consider that your au pair is also an adult, and there are going to be times where they need to go and socialize with their friends. And I also always say that you don't know what the person that's driving your kid to school, like if your kid goes with a bus, is doing at night. You don't know what the dentist is doing the night before. You don't know what the doctor's doing the night before. You don't know what the teacher's doing the night before. However, I do understand, because this person lives in your house and you do see them, and so if they keep coming back 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning and then coming downstairs to work, it could raise some red flags. So I would make a clear communication as to what's your expectations, what's the reason you're putting a curfew into place, and also making sure that the curfew is not more of a like a lordship, like a, I don't know how else to say, like a boss. It's like there's rules in a job. However, at the end of the day, this is still an adult, and yes, this adult is living in your house, but you also need to be more flexible and understand that you're dealing with somebody that is between 18 and 27, and once in a while they want to go out with their friends, especially like summertime. There's so many things and the sun sets late, so you need to be considerate of that. Now, if your au pair is coming, like let's say hardly getting sleep, turning up all the time, I think that's something you need to sit down with your au pair and discuss, and there needs to be a mutual agreement. I think the problem comes in when there's no mutual agreement, and there's also no communication, and so there's like a clash, meaning like the host family's like, no, you can't come home late, and the au pair's like, you're not my mom. And so I think that's where it comes in. But I feel like it can work, because surprisingly my current host family actually gave me a curfew when I got here, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this is gonna annoy the heck out of me. But then I was like, I'm also a homebody, so I'm not even gonna bother like challenging it or whatever. And then I sat with them and I was like, I asked them, I was like, why did you guys give me a curfew, and like what's this and this? And they had situations prior, even though I'm the only au pair, they know like people, and they've had friends who've had au pairs prior, and they've had like hectic, like scary situations with like curfews and that whole thing. And so for them it was like, this is her margin, this is what we're gonna say. Now I may say there's been so many times I've come back later than my curfew, and they like, once they saw me and they saw me as a person, and like they got to know my personality, they like, honestly speaking, they really don't care where I come or go, as long as I'm doing my job well. And they've also trusted me. I think also as au pairs, we need to remember that we are still strangers living in the host family's house, and so sometimes they make these rules going based off strangers. But once they know, oh, Sherry is a responsible person, so like even if she's going out late, we know, like the host families know that they're responsible. But I would also just say to host families, make sure you honor and respect that your au pair is also an adult. Yeah, make sure there's open communication, that both parties are being respected. Nobody is feeling like they're being trapped into one specific situation, meaning like, oh, the host family is giving a curfew but the au pair does not agree because this she has friends, she has a life, she wants to, let's say she lives in DC and she wants to go watch the sunset at night, but her curfew is like 9 o'clock and she lives an hour away from the place, and so now she's panicking because the show only starts at 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's not it. And I've been around au pairs that have been like that, where they have to run home because they're curfew, and that's just not that. I don't think that sounds healthy. I don't think that is fair, to be honest. However, if you have a healthy open communication and you have a healthy relationship, you will be able as a host family to gauge and be like, oh, you know, when we made this rule, you were in your home country, or our previous au pair, the reason we made this rule is because our previous au pair, like, we just felt like she would be tired a lot during the day and handling these kids, she'd be half sleepy, whatever, because she used to turn up or like party the whole time the night before. Therefore, we had to make these rules as problems came up. And so now you are different, you know, like, you are different au pair. We see you super responsible, you come home, you sleep, or like if you are chilling, we know you're chilling at your boyfriend's house, so it's not even like you're kicking it, whatever, and you're not tired, you're still giving all the energy and you're still performing your duties really well. So we don't care, as long as, you know, like, as long as you're doing your job and you're doing it well, and both parties are comfortable. Like, that's my whole thing with this whole video when it comes to curfews, because I don't want to be like a hard no or a hard yes. I think it's based on the situation, and it's also based on the relationship. Like, do you guys have mutual respect for one another? Do you guys have an open, like, do you guys have access to open conversations? And like, as a host family, if your pair challenges it, is this gonna seem like, oh, we're considering getting a rematch because she's not listening to us? Or are you willing to hear her side of the story because she is a young person? And as an au pair, are you willing to see your host family side of it because you are being exposed to their kids and you are like taking care of their kids? And so yeah, I feel like I said a lot. I was hoping this video would be way more shorter, but do you agree? Should au pairs have a curfew? Yes, no, maybe? What's your thoughts on it? I would be very curious to see what host families think, because I think there are a lot of great host families out there, and I would love to hear their voices, because I feel like every time we hear around curfews, it's the negative side of it. I want to hear the positive side. How you, as a host family and an au pair, how do you guys make that work? And what about you guys? Because even with my host family now, I always joke and I'm like, what's my curfew? And they're like, girl, bye, you know. But I actually have a book that gave me like my curfew and my time, that whole thing. But once they saw that I'm actually responsible and I'm capable of managing my own time well, they were like, nah. Like, I've never had, and as I said to you guys, I've come back from birthday dinners super late. I think I just say for a safety thing, but not all host families care about the safety thing, so that's a topic for another time. But yeah, I would really love to hear from like good host families who've had this conversation and figured it out, because I want to help other host families figure out this, because it can be a very like a red flag. I'm telling you now, even when you're looking for host families, I know even with me, when you see a curfew time, you're like, I don't know if I want to live with a family that's going to tell me when I can go and come and that whole thing. But if we look at it from both sides and we hear both stories and there's mutual respect and understanding, I think it could definitely work to benefit both parties. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you're struggling with something, I've been asking this in like my community post, but how can I help you? The purpose of this channel is to help host families and au pairs. How can I help you? If I know an answer, I will gladly answer it for you. If I don't, I'm gonna Google it just with you and try figure it out and understand it. So what can I help you guys with? Comment below, or DM me, or email me, or send me some form of communication, because I want to make videos that help you. I want to answer your questions. But yeah, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.